What's up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's Blerd without fear. Welcome back to the channel. Alright, today's video, we're going to be talking about Immortal X-Men number 4 by Kieran Gillen and Michelle Bandini. And in this video, I'm going to be breaking down how the secret of mutant resurrection is both bad and good news for Krakoa, as well as what will the Quiet Council do about Sinister now that they know about Dr. Stasis, and last but most certainly not least, what is keeping Sinister from rebooting the timeline a 26th time, and who has abducted him just ahead of Judgment Day.
You can't see me, you Stevie, wondering how I reach more evolutions than Evie and make it look easy.
Okay, so when we kick this book off, one of the things that's very chief here in this story is how Emma Frost is reflecting on her past, being a terrible person, starting off as an X-Men villain, and then later trying to become a better person and trying to become the hero that Krakoa needs. And I'm not going to break down all of the minutia of Emma Frost in this issue because I kind of feel like over the years, a lot of this stuff is unsurprising. I feel like Emma Frost has gotten a very good share of storytelling over the last several X titles, whether it be Jerry Duggan's Devil's Reign tie-in or Jonathan Hickman's Inferno. Just know that Emma is going through a lot. She is afraid, and while some of it is kind of superficial, she's afraid of getting older. It's part of the reason why she sleeps in her diamond form now, and of course she also sleeps in her diamond form to keep her safe from telepathic attacks. But we also know that Emma is dealing with a lot of imposter syndrome, and right now the revealing of mutant resurrection to the world thanks to Cyclops and Ben Urich's expose about the X-Men and their ability to bring mutants back. We know that Emma wasn't happy about it. She was very mad about it. Even a line that comes up in X-Men Hellfire Gala number 1 when she says, "This is how Cyclops chooses to f me." But it doesn't stop there. She's still angry and people are lashing out because not everyone is responding to the reveal of mutant resurrection being possible as favorable. We see at a point where someone literally throws sheep's blood on Emma at the gala because she's angry at the fact that her husband just recently passed and she wants the mutants to resurrect him, as if they could just do it willy-nilly. The world doesn't understand exactly how mutant resurrection works because those secrets were never revealed. All Cyclops told Ben Urich was that they have the ability that when they die, they're able to come back. No one knows how it's done outside of the mutants. Orchis has an idea of how it works, and this is largely thanks to the research they've done on the X-Men since House of X, but also because of their alliance with Moira McTaggart. They know a little bit more about it, but I don't think they really know the fullest of inner workings in it. But a lot of people are just assuming, oh, they could be resurrected, they just come back willy-nilly. That's just what they do now. So yeah, when someone dies, boom, they just come back just like that. They don't know that it means that person's mind has to be backed up in Cerebro. They don't know that it takes 5 separate mutants to come together and combine their powers in a mutant circuit to make it happen. They don't know any of this stuff. They're just assuming that, yeah, oh, well, they solve for death. Just give it to me. Just give it to me. You can do it. You have the ability to do it. Just give it to me. Humans right now are doing their best Veruca Salt impersonation. They want resurrection and they want it now. And right now, Emma is feeling the weight of this, not just in terms of, having sheep's blood thrown on her, but right now, another character that I want to say we were first introduced to in House of X number 1, Ambassador Mingyu, he is trying to angle for Krakoa to give resurrection to humanity, and Emma is trying to explain to him the very same things I just said, that it doesn't work that way, and more importantly, why would mutants give humanity resurrection even if they could? Why would they start resurrecting humans willy-nilly when there's still 16 million dead mutants from the Genoshan Massacre, thanks to Cassandra Nova way back in Grant Morrison's new X-Men number, I believe it was number 114. Why would they do it? Who deserves it? Who are all these random and sundry humans that deserve to be resurrected when there's still mutants that haven't been brought back from that massacre? But the thing is, Ambassador Mingyu brings up something that I think Emma is really going to consider, because right now he's saying that don't give it to all humans. Give it only to the elites. If it requires special concessions and things to be put in place, then only give it to the few. And what he is talking about are the rich elites, the political leaders, the people who are in power and places of influence. He's basically saying that every president, dictator, and person who runs a Fortune 500 plus company should be the people who are getting these special resurrection concessions. Emma, she does seem to be struck by it, that this man is willing to forsake the rest of humanity and give the mutants gift only to a select few. This puts Emma in an actionable position because honestly, this is not too dissimilar from a move that Charles Xavier would probably have considered. And now she's having to wrestle with the fact that maybe she is gonna have to do something that might be considered immoral to protect her people. Maybe if the rich elites of the world would try to turn public opinion back in their favor for having access to mutant resurrection, maybe it would be worth it. We know that Emma is not above doing something immoral to fix a problem. You gotta remember back during Matthew Rosenberg's run on the Uncanny X-Men, Emma used Cerebro to basically make humans forget that mutants existed. And while it was great for mutants that people didn't even know that mutants were a thing, it was also not the best idea in terms that it also meant that mutants weren't seen by humans. It was one of those deals where it kind of would remind you of, people who say, oh, I don't see color. That was kind of one of those deals. Humans weren't seeing mutants at all. They didn't even know they existed. Mutants could literally unleash their powers in front of a whole gang of humans and no one would even see them. But Emma is considering this. She is actually considering this right now. She may not look like it, but she definitely is. And right now, that's not the only problem. Humans are freaking out that humanity can't be resurrected, that humans are starting to take mutant growth hormones, something that was a huge problem in the Marvel Comics universe for a long time. It was something that even affected the Young Avengers character, Patriot. But right now they're taking this stuff so they can temporarily become mutants, and now they're killing themselves, committing suicide, hoping that they'll be resurrected, but they don't know. They can't be resurrected. They're dead. Their minds were never backed up. They can't be brought back. People are literally losing their mind over something that they don't understand. And that was kind of one of the reasons why the Quiet Council didn't want people to know about mutant resurrection. And the reason Cyclops told them anyway was because while he knew that this was going to be difficult, he knew that if humans found out years after the fact that mutants could be resurrected, they would hate them for it. Humanity would, if they weren't already turned on mutants, they would be 100% turned on mutants full stop for keeping secrets. But right now, no one knows exactly what to do about this. The Quiet Council doesn't know. All they know is that they're gonna have to get in front of this, that they're gonna have to at least pretend to give a shit that humans are dying because of their own stupidity. Even Sebastian Shaw sees that this is something that has to happen, and he's a whole supervillain. But more important than that, Emma Frost is also revealing in this issue what Cyclops revealed to her about Dr. Stasis, and this throws Mr. Sinister's plans all into whack. Now, one of the first things to take notice of here is that Mr. Sinister does seem genuinely surprised by this. He actually has no answer, no retort. He actually has no clue that he is a clone or that he may not be the real Mr. Sinister. He is in complete and total denial about it. The idea that there is another Mr. Sinister out there claiming to be the original Mr. Sinister is not what he had on his 2022 bingo card. I won't go into the full specifics of Dr. Stasis and why he is the original Mr. Sinister in this video. I actually already have another video up going into detail about this, so go check out that video if you want to know more about that. But just know, Mr. Sinister, while it has always been a mainstay of the character to have multiple clones out in the world, during the House of X era, he was forced to get rid of them. Now, he is still creating them because we see them in this comic. We've seen them in the Hellions comics, that he still has other clones out there that the Quiet Council doesn't know about. But the idea of another clone out there operating independently of him that he has no knowledge of is terrifying to him, because if that clone is even half as smart as the Sinister we've been dealing with up to this point, that means that Sinister is very likely doing some of the same things, or is doing something that is completely counter to what he's doing right now with these Mora clones. This could be bad news, not just for Krakoa, but Sinister himself. Now, the Quiet Council, right now, they don't trust him anymore, and you can pretty much tell they're probably going to try and take him out. The idea of killing him and not resurrecting him has been brought up. The idea of throwing him in the pit is also brought up. But one of the things to take note here is that Sinister is going to try to reset the timeline, because now he knows that all bets are off at this point. This whole Dr. Stasis deal has thrown everything out of whack, and now he has to kill a Mora clone so he can reboot the timeline. But he's not going to do it, and the reason why is because Destiny calls him out on being a coward. She knows what he's about to do. She's seen it already. She knows he's gonna go kill a Mora clone and reset everything. However, she also knows that this timeline that she is in currently has to persist. As we learned in the previous issue, she has seen the strain of all of the different potential timelines that could result from all the things that are going on right now. And while Mystique thinks it's odd that Destiny didn't try and stop him from going through his gate to get back to Bar Sinister and, do whatever it is that he was about to do, Destiny believes that Sinister is going to do the right thing. He's not going to reboot the timeline. He actually stays his hand because now he knows Destiny knows what he's up to. And while he doesn't know exactly what she knows, we know what she saw in those previous timelines. Now, that said, he knows he has to face the music. If he's not going to reset the timeline, he's gonna have to try and find some kind of a way to spin this whole, Dr. Stasis reveal so that he can stay on the Quiet Council and continue doing what he's doing in secret in hopes that maybe he can find a way to ensure that he gets the best possible outcome. However, what he does is something I find very interesting. Now, we all know that Mr. Sinister, once upon a time, used to not be as flamboyant, but now he's just kind of been a hot mess of a character as of late. Like, he's been incredibly flamboyant. It's very strange and unusual, and it's something that's kind of been gradually changing over the years, but has become even more pronounced in the last couple of years, especially, and now we know why. It's because he very often resets his personalities. He even says all of his various and sundry personalities. And a lot of his behavior as of late is apparently due to him implementing some of Deadpool's DNA into his mind, which is basically warping him in all of these crazy ways, which is why he has such a whacked out personality. But the thing is, we're not going to get to know exactly what's going to happen to him now that he is prostrating himself before the Quiet Council, because he's going to be abducted, and that is going to be thanks to the Eternals. Something we learned thanks to AXE's Eve of Judgment #1. Ajax and Makari have abducted Mr. Sinister and holding him hostage because they are trying to recreate the Celestials. If you haven't been keeping up with Kieran Gillen's Eternals, Ajax and Makari have become disenfranchised with the Celestials. They learned information in Eternals number 10 and 11 that they did not appreciate. During 2021's Eternals Celestia #1, Ajax and Makari finally caught wind of the fact that the Avengers have been living inside a dead Celestial, something that they found as anathema, that this was some great crime against the Celestials. They didn't understand why the Celestials wanted this to happen, why this was even being allowed. They felt that the Avengers were lying, or that maybe the Avengers misinterpreted the message, but Ajax has finally discovered that this is actually true, and they're incredibly angry about it. They feel as though they have been spurned by their gods, and now they want to create new ones, and they want to use the Eternal Fastus to do this, but Fastus doesn't want any part of this. So what they're going to do is that they're going to try and get Mr. Sinister to help them create their new gods, even despite the fact that Fastos is telling them this isn't going to work out the way you want. And what happens when these new gods that you're going to create don't do the things or say the things you want them to say? What if it all just goes back to what it was before, just being more of the Celestials BS? But right now, Ajax and Makari are keeping this a secret from just about everybody else, and of course we know what Druig has been up to, trying to take out the mutants using an antimatter bomb, which, as we know, as we talked about in my video for X-Men Hellfire Gala #1, it backfired because it went against the core principles of the Eternals, one of which being protect the machine. As it was revealed in that issue, Krakoa is somehow connected to the machine, something the machine doesn't give away right away, but we know we'll learn over the course of the Judgment Day event. Somehow the machine and Krakoa are one. Now, this is not that far out of the realm of possibility, considering that Krakoa is a mutant itself and is pretty much a living island. It being actual nature itself and the machine being Earth itself, it's no secret that the two are connected in some strange way. I don't know what the deeper connection is, but the machine seems quite okay with Krakoa. It doesn't want Krakoa to be harmed in some way. And while, yes, the Eternals are going against the X-Men in this upcoming Judgment Day event, the machine doesn't want this to happen. The machine actually thinks all of this is incredibly strange, and I think by the time we get to the end of Judgment Day, the Eternals and the mutants of Krakoa, the X-Men, they'll all be fine and dandy with one another. The Avengers will probably figure out some kind of way to make them all kiss and make up. Whatever, it's probably gonna happen. That's just how these sorts of events go, but I am curious to see exactly how deep the connection between the Machine and Krakoa goes, because as we remember, Krakoa was not always just itself. We also gotta remember that Arakko was once an island that was connected to Krakoa back when they were Okara, way back millennia ago during like the dawn of time. So it's very likely Krakoa has a very deep history with the Machine in this aspect. It would not allow Druig to detonate that antimatter bomb, with the mandates of the Eternals even attacking Druig, causing him to start bleeding out of his eyes and his ears, with a level of pain behind it that clearly was enough to harm an Eternal. He immediately rescinded the bomb and brought it back and had it decommissioned. So yeah, there's definitely something deeper here. Druig has other ways to do this. We know that Druig is reaching out to his grandfather, Uranos, who is considered to be the most genocidal being in the history of the universe, even to the point that Thanos even respects it, considering him his grandfather as opposed to his grand uncle as he actually is. And we all know what Uranos thinks about excess deviation, so if Druig is reaching out to Uranos, who he has already exhibited that he's terrified of this man and he does not want him getting out, he is somehow brokering some kind of a deal that's going to make Uranos become the full focus of Judgment Day in the fight between the Avengers, the X-Men, and the Eternals. But in the end, we know whatever happens here next, Emma Frost is going to have to rely on Destiny. They're going to become very close allies here very soon because, as Emma notes, Destiny will do anything to protect Krakoa. She believes in it. Emma believes in Krakoa and she would do anything to protect it. She needs it to exist because this is everything. If she has done all this wrong in the past with the original Hellions, with everything that happened with the Massachusetts Academy, she's got to do something and she wants to make up for it. This is her cross to bear and she's going to do whatever it takes to see it through. But anyways, that's really mostly everything I wanted to talk about with Immortal X-Men number 4. If you want to know more about why Uranos is a whole threat for the X-Men, check out this video where I break down the reintroduction of this character and why he's a complete and total monster who even Thanos has to give respect to. And if you want to know more about the reveal of Dr. Stasis being the original Mr. Sinister, check out this video down here. In the meantime, let me know what you thought about Immortal X-Men number 4. Keep it plus ultra and sound off in the comments.